One, two, two.
Tunkhannock Area High School Brass Ensemble. Good morning and welcome to our annual Veterans Day program. In just a moment, we will begin by presenting the colors, immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the playing of our national anthem by our brass ensemble under the direction of Mr. Kenneth Lucky. We ask that you please silence your cell phones at this time. Thank you. We are ready to begin.
Color guard, prepare to present the colors. Please rise. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the playing of our national anthem? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, please join me in welcoming the Superintendent of the Tunkhannock Area School District, Ms. Heather McPherson, to the stage.
Good morning and welcome. This is the fourth year that I've had the privilege of serving as a superintendent in Tunkhannock. And in that time, I've been witness to many events that have become traditions in this quaint yet dynamic little community. The homecoming parade, the bonfire, the fireworks on the 4th of July, Founders Day, Christmas in my hometown. They're all great, but I have to say that Veterans Day is my favorite. First, it gives us an opportunity to throw open our doors and to welcome in our veterans whose sacrifice and service have preserved our freedoms and the freedoms of many all over the world. Second, it provides us with an opportunity for students to offer up their gifts and their talents in tribute to your service and your sacrifice. They are an amazing and talented bunch. And I challenge our veterans to receive their gifts as a token of love and gratitude. And I challenge our students to carefully consider the love of country that richly permeates this gathering today. A love of country so great that you would lay down your life for it. Finally, I love Veterans Day in Tunkhannock because it gives each and every adult in this space an opportunity to model honor, dignity, and respect. It gives us a chance to show our students that gratitude means something. It gives us a chance to let them participate in gratitude. Honor, dignity, respect, gratitude. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. And this is what it feels like. And it serves as a reminder that there is far more that unites us than what can ever divide us. Veterans and your families, enjoy the program and exchange your gifts. On behalf of the entire staff of the Tunkhannock Area School District, the Board of Directors, and our student community, thank you so very much for your service.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear a musical selection from the 8th and 9th grade concert band under the direction of Mr. Kevin Kreinberg and Mr. Kenneth Lucky. They will be performing American Pride.
Before we introduce one of our guest speakers for today, please allow us just a minute or two to transition our on-stage ensembles. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful piece, 8th and 9th grade concert band. Our first guest speaker for this morning is an esteemed faculty member here at the Tunkhannock Area High School. She is a highly respected individual, and we are so thankful to have her here. I was just in our classroom the other day, casually chatting about the Veterans Day program, and even from just that conversation, I knew that I couldn't wait to hear her Veterans Day message that she had for us today. Please join me in welcoming retired Lieutenant Commander of the United States Navy, Susan Allen.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be standing up here in front of so many of our local veterans, as well as being a part of a time-honored tradition here at Tunkhannock Area High School. There are 3 holidays that we in the United States celebrate our military service members. On May 20th of every year, we celebrate Armed Forces Day, where we honor the men and women who are currently serving in the military. Locally, there is a parade in Scranton to celebrate the holiday. On the last Monday in May, we celebrate Memorial Day, where we honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country. There are parades and ceremonies held in local communities all across the country. Here in Tunkhannock, banners are hung in town to honor the veterans in the community, and flags are placed on the graves of veterans in our cemeteries by the local scouts. Finally, we celebrate Veterans Day on November 11th each year to honor those who have once worn a military uniform in service to our great country. We celebrate Veterans Day locally by having parades like the one I marched in yesterday in Wilkes-Barre. The Wyoming Valley Veterans Day Parade has taken place every year since 1946. It is a tradition that is one of the most long-lasting in the nation. I am honored to be part of that tradition and have been part of the parade committee for the 15 years I have lived in Pennsylvania. Part of our celebration yesterday included honoring students who wrote essays celebrating veterans and Veterans Day. 3 years ago, our winning essay for our contest was written by one Jacob Spencer, the other speaker today. At that time, he was a Tunkhannock Area High School senior. Today, he is an Army veteran. 105 years ago, the world was at war. The Great War, as it was called, started in 1914 and involved 2 opposing alliances, the Allies and the Central Powers. The United States was not even involved until nearly 3 years later. In 1918, at the 11th hour of the 11th day in the 11th month, the world rejoiced and celebrated. After 4 years of bitter war, the Allied powers signed a ceasefire agreement called an armistice with Germany at Rethon, France, bringing World War I to a close. The war to end all wars was over. On November 11th, 1919, the 1-year anniversary of the signing of the armistice, President Wilson issued his Armistice Day proclamation. That date was set aside to remember the sacrifices that men and women made during World War I to ensure a lasting peace. Armistice Day is now commemorated every year on November 11th. It is a national holiday in many of the Allied countries. We now call it Veterans Day, and unlike Memorial Day, it is celebrated on the 11th of November every single year. Veterans Day gives Americans the opportunity to celebrate the bravery and sacrifice of all U.S. veterans, and that is what today is about. In 1919, when President Wilson asked Americans to celebrate the anniversary of the signing of the armistice, the day was celebrated with parades. Soldiers who survived the war marched in parades through their hometowns. Politicians and veteran officers gave speeches like this one and held ceremonies of thanks for peace that they had won. So what is a veteran? I like the definition, which was once penned by an unknown author. A veteran, whether on active duty, retired as I am, or serving in the National Guard or Reserve, is someone who, at one point in his or her life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including his or her life. Any person who has served in the military honorably is a veteran. We honor all American veterans who have served in any war before or after World War I to defend democracy. We also honor our veterans who served in peacetime, for they protect the way of life that we have come to enjoy. Without the veterans of the Revolutionary War, the United States of America would not exist. Without our veterans from World War II, we could be living in a world where our freedoms would be restricted. And without those who are currently fighting the war on terror, we could be living in fear, or even without those freedoms that we have fought for and protected for so long. A friend of mine spoke at this very ceremony a few years ago, and he told me what a great experience he had that day. He loved the musical performances and everything that happened at the school. However, what left the greatest impression on him was meeting the veterans at the breakfast at Triton earlier that morning. The stories they had to share had a profound effect on him, and he still talks about how much he learned from the veterans he met that morning. Many of the veterans that day came to the high school after the breakfast to attend our school's ceremony. If you were at that breakfast, could you please stand so we could thank you for your service? What we need to remember about this holiday is that Veterans Day is for us to honor the veterans around us. Many veterans complete their service in the military and return to civilian life. Most veterans I know continue to serve their communities in some capacity after they end their time in the military. They take their skills they learned and their experiences and share them with others. The most important thing to remember is that veterans are all around us, and we should take a moment to say thanks when we have the opportunity. Ask them their stories, learn from their experiences. All our veterans deserve our respect and thanks every day, not just once a year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will hear another musical selection, this time from our 10th through 12th grade wind ensemble, under the direction of Mr. Kenneth Lucky. They will be performing "To Honor America." Absolutely amazing 10th through 12th grade wind ensemble. Thank you so much for that musical selection. Our next guest speaker for this morning is a young man who we had the privilege of working with throughout his 4 years in high school in our marching band, concert band, percussion ensemble, and Tiger drumline. From day one, we knew that he loved his country, and when he told us that he would be joining the military, we weren't surprised, just proud, because we knew he would do an excellent job. While here, he also played a huge part in previous Veterans Day programs, serving as color guard, sergeant at arms, and even, as mentioned before, as a guest student speaker during his senior year for the essay contest. We are so glad to have him back here to share yet another Veterans Day program with us. Please join me in welcoming Tunkhannock Area Class of 2016 graduate, Jacob Spencer, Specialist in the United States Army.
Good morning, faculty, staff, students, and members of the community. My name, as you know, is Jacob Spencer. I'm a graduate of Tunkhannock Area High School and a former section leader in the marching band drumline. The reason I'm here today is because I served in the United States Army active duty for 3.5 years as an M1 Armor crew member. For those of you that don't know what that is, I operated the M1 Abrams main battle tank. I completed 1 station unit training, which is both basic training and training on the M1 Abrams tank at Fort Benning, Georgia. After I graduated from basic training, I was transferred to 137th Armor Regiment, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Armor Division, based out of Fort Bliss, Texas. In 2017, I did a 9-month rotation through Kuwait. I want to take this time to thank you for the cards, prayers, and care packages that we received during my time in service. However, today is not about me. Today is about the men and women who came before me, leaders whose footsteps I followed in. The heroes and legends that you've read and heard about, and even the ones that you didn't even know about. Those who stormed the beaches, crossed through forest and desert, sailed to all the corners of the globe, piloted aircraft, and every job that came in between that was crucial to the success of our operations. According to the Department of Veteran Affairs, there are currently 18.2 million veterans in the United States. That means roughly 7% of our current population has served in our armed forces, and currently less than 1% is serving on active duty. These men and women raised their right hands and swore an oath that never expires to support and defend the Constitution and the people of the United States by saying these words: I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. In order to preserve our freedom, these men and women traveled across seas, deserts, mountains, and through forests, swamps, and jungles. From the Pacific islands of Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima to the northern African deserts and Kasserine Pass, to the shores of Italy, to the Ardennes forest and European woodlands, to the Battle of Heartbreak Ridge in the mountains of the Korean Peninsula, to the Battle of Hue and Hamburger Hill in the jungles of Vietnam, to the Battle of the 73rd Eastings and the Battle of Baghdad in the deserts and mountains of the Middle East, and all of the places in between. The United States has sent them to some of the darkest, dirtiest places on the earth to endure more than can be asked from them, to break the boundaries of what humanly, physically possible means. Time and again we sent them, and time and again they come back. Along the way, they have lost brothers and sisters in arms. We have lost fathers, uncles, brothers, sons, mothers, aunts, sisters, and daughters. We will never forget them. We celebrate this day not as a sad day, but as a day of remembrance and thankfulness to those we have lost and what they died for, and to be thankful for the ones that have returned and what they did, serving the people of this great nation. As General George S. Patton said, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men ever lived." I'd like to thank all the men and women who are currently serving, and especially my fellow veterans for their courage, sacrifice, and commitment. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. At this time, we'll have our 8th through 12th grade concert chorus come to the risers to perform 2 selections, "O America" and "Song for the Unsung Hero." At this time, our 9th through 12th grade concert chorus will perform the Armed Forces Salute to honor all the branches of the military. If you are able, we ask that our veterans and their families stand to be recognized when you hear your service song.
On behalf of everyone involved with the Veterans Day program, we want to thank you for joining us in celebrating our veterans. To our veterans in the audience, thank you so much for your service to our country. We are all honored to be in your presence today and every day. These men and women fought and served their country, our country, with a burning passion to make America the best place to live in the entire world, and we owe it to them to express and demonstrate our gratitude for their service. With that being said, I challenge you to meet a veteran. Talk with them, listen to their stories, shake their hand, thank them for their service. Know that you are in the presence of a true hero. And at this time, if we can please give another round of applause to our guest speakers for today's program. Please note that immediately following this program, all veterans and their families here today are also invited to stay for a robotics demonstration here in the auditorium close to the stage, and to attend a free luncheon sponsored by the faculty, staff, and students of Tunkhannock Area School District and organized by the Tunkhannock Tigertrons robotics team. Ms. Bishop and Mrs. Kilker's culinary arts students have prepared a wonderful meal of cheese stuffed shells, meatballs, garlic bread, tossed salad, and cake. As our Veterans Day program comes to an end, I ask for everyone here to please stand and join us in the singing of God Bless America, and then please remain standing as we end our program this morning with the playing of taps and the retiring of colors. Thank you.
Color guard, prepare to retire the colors. Color guard, advance. Color guard, prepare to retrieve the colors. Retrieve the colors. Color guard, retire the colors. Color guard dismissed.